Hello, and you're very welcome to this edition of the Under Center podcast. Dara here with you. We are looking back at an eventful week 3 of the NFL season. Lots and lots have happened. I'm delighted to be joined by Al, Rian, and returning this time as a host rather than a guest we're delighted to have Rob Maher on the show. Lads, how are we doing?
Good.
Salty, very salty. I don't know how I ended up on a podcast with 3 Seahawks fans, but hey, there you
go. Hey, look, it was always going to happen the week after you played, to be fair, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it was a guaranteed loss from the start for the Panthers, so I don't know why I'm as unhappy as I am, but I'm very unhappy.
No, because Seahawks have this nasty habit of making backup quarterbacks look like all pros. They did it with Colt McCoy like 3 fucking times, and they did it with Andy Dalton last year with the Saints. So it was far from a guaranteed thing.
You forget,
and it looked that way in the first half.
It was Frank Reich calling the plays, so usually you just turn a backup quarterback loose because what can you lose? But yeah, no, same 4 plays that he always runs: screen, run, third down pass, punt. That's it.
Well, we actually, before you came on, we were talking off air about it, and you're talking about third down pass. The one thing that pissed me off so much watching that game on Sunday was the fact that every single third down he would target Adam Thielen, and every single third down he'd hit Adam Thielen. And the Seahawks made no adjustments in the game to try and say, let's try and take Adam Thielen out of the game here and try and stop having him as an option on third down.
Yeah, because everybody else is a bum. Like, what's his name? Hayden Hurst maybe is a third down target, but Mingo looks shit. Fucking Terrace Marshall, he's a nobody. So yeah,
I know you have Tommy Tremble. So
true,
yeah, all pro Tommy Tremble.
Don't forget that. The original Kyle Pitts. Where he just becomes
wasn't drafted quite as high, if I recall.
No, he wasn't. But I think every year he's been in the league, every sort of fantasy football, expert has said, "Oh, this is the sleeper. Year. This is the breakout year. This is the one to keep your eye on if you want someone in the 14th round to be your tight end for the season."
So exactly like the Cowboys, this is the year.
We're spending a lot of time on this game, but it's so surprising to me about Tommy Tremble, because even at Notre Dame, he wasn't that pass-catching tight end. He was more like a fullback. He was a run blocker the entire time. So I don't know why everybody puts this like talismanic kind of image up there when they're talking about Tommy Tremble. It's bizarre.
Well, look, the best tight end in the league, Will Dissly, was known as a blocking tight end before he got drafted by the Seahawks.
Okay. not Travis Swift, no?
Well, I mean, you laugh, but Will Dissly, as of week 2, certainly, week 2, because he didn't play last week, was the highest graded tight end by PFF in the league.
And we know that PFF are really good at grading players, so yeah.
Absolutely no issues there, as long as they're good grades,
Yeah. Every single grade about them is wrong, but the Will Dissly one is the right one.
Of course.
And Jaron Reed. Don't forget Jaron Reed.
And Jaron Reed. Don't forget Jaron Reed, of course. But look, lads, this is my first show since the season began. I've been off the last couple of weeks, so I haven't had the chance to, other than like the odd exchange in the group show, I haven't had the chance to speak to you about the NFL season so far. So I want to go around the table here. I'll start with Al, go down to Rob, and then finish with yourself, Rian. I want you to tell me one thing that has impressed you through 3 weeks of the NFL season so far. Now, that can be a team, it can be a head coach, it can be a player, it can be a positional group, but one thing that has impressed you so far, and Al, I know you're going to want to, but try and keep it non-Seahawks related.
Damn.
It's Will Dissly.
Because my whole thing with this was the Seahawks. Does it have to be impressed?
Look, one
just
thing
do
that
Seahawks thing, it's fine. We knew it was coming out.
We'll say, okay, Seahawks obviously has impressed you. You can explain that why, but then give me another one that has surprised you. How about that?
Well, I was going to go with Jaron Reed for my homer answer because he has legitimately been an excellent player, one of the best defensive tackles in the league, I think. I don't think that's crazy to say. I mean, he's getting constant pressure. He's really, really good. I mean, technically, with his hands and his feet, he's been really good, and he looks strong. And you wouldn't have thought it last year. I mean, if you watched a game in Green Bay last year, his legs just looked gone. He played with no effort. He obviously didn't want to be there, and it was one of the worst offseason signings in my opinion. Before the season, and he's been playing like a man on fire this year. So that would have been my answer. I'll let Rob go, and you might have to come back to me on a good answer.
Rob, one thing that surprised you or impressed you so far?
It's got to be the Packers, man. Like, I think coming into the year, people had like a lot of stock in the Lions and the Bears to be somewhat competitive. They've shown that they're nowhere near, like preseason rankings. But the Packers as a team, you look at their receiving options and you say they're not great. There are a lot of young guys on the receiving core, and there's no like name. Like if you look at the whole offense, like the biggest names are their offensive linemen. You know, and even with their running backs, they're not always healthy, but they always end up sort of coming back in games and making it somewhat close. They were down 18-0 to the Saints, and they came back 17, and then they won 18-17. So like Jordan Love is looking like the reincarnation of Aaron Rodgers there. I mean, if you look at it, like his throwing motion, just like the swag he has on the field, it's like watching a young Aaron Rodgers almost, but he has legs, he can run, So, for one of his touchdowns, it was a read option, and he went in and juked the defender, and he was in the end zone. But I think you can really see now that the team is rallying behind him. Maybe during Aaron Rodgers last year in Green Bay, they didn't really rally behind him because he sort of knew the writing on the wall. But I think Packers fans now and the team is behind him, and that's probably the most important thing about him.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go quarterback as well. And I was kind of stuck between two candidates for this. And I'm surprised I picked the second one because I thought someone would go for the first one, right? So number one is Tua. But I'm going to explain my second one, which is CJ Stroud. For a rookie to be given that much kind of reign over the playbook in his first three starts is incredible. I think he hasn't had a game so far that he hasn't thrown the ball 30 times or more, which is just insanity for a rookie quarterback. He's throwing the ball downfield. He seems to be in complete control of that offense, and he seems to have found himself a nice target in Tank Dell, which is always great to see, a rookie-to-rookie kind of connection like that. So, yeah, I'm very surprised, very impressed with CJ Stroud. He seems to be head and shoulders above the rest of the rookie quarterbacks in the league so far. So I might give that to you as a suggestion, Al, to maybe talk about Tua, how the bang in the head has given him superpowers.
I mean, yeah, I can go with Tua. I mean, where did this come from? I mean, we knew the Dolphins were going to be a good team when they were healthy, and they weren't even healthy. Did they even have Waddle in this last game?
Nope.
Yeah, like they're playing very, very well. I don't think anyone could have predicted quite this. But yeah, I mean, Tua's playing great. He's keeping his mistakes to a minimum. He looks decisive. And, Tyreek Hill and the rookie, Devin A-Chain, looks great together. Yeah, they're a great team. And their defense are no slobs either. They look really good.
They've had really, really good start. And let's use that as a segue and talk about the game on Sunday, the 70 points to 20 game against the Denver football team, because I'm not calling them the Broncos anymore, because from now on, until I see a change in the Denver football team, they will now be called the Denver My Little Ponies because they are not Broncos. They are a sham at the moment. And I know I know if you're thinking it's from Seahawks fan, I'd say, oh, it's all Russ's fault. This game wasn't even on Russ. Russ didn't even have that bad of a game. That defense that just gave up. I'm very, very surprised that the defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph, is still in a job today, especially after that performance. But not even just that, but giving up 30, was it 35? Giving up 35 points to the Commanders the week before, and then letting what we've seen subsequently, a shit Raiders team to outscore you as well. And it's not as if they have a load of bums on that team. They have some really, really good players, especially up front with the likes of Randy Gregory. In the backfield, with, of course, Patrick Surtain and Justin Simmons, but I don't think Simmons was available on Sunday. It's still not an excuse. But that team gave up, man. And from now on, the My Little Ponies are going to be called the My Little Ponies until I start seeing a change in attitude, some wins, and to start seeing a Broncos team that a My Little Ponies team that deserves to be called the Broncos again.
I think that's disrespectful to My Little Ponies. I think they'd do a better job. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I think the main thing that I'm worried about now is that locker room moving forward. I don't know if you guys saw the interview. I think it was with one of their offensive linemen. I think it was Bowles, was it?
Garrett Bowles.
He goes,
yeah.
He goes, I'm tired, man. I'm tired of losing. All I've done since I came here is lose. And if he, as a leader in that kind of offensive unit, is saying those things, that's going to permeate throughout the whole team. And there's going to be a very, very bad atmosphere going there. It may end up that we don't see this Denver team winning many more games this season. That I might cap them at 3 for the entire season.
Yeah, someone asked in the chat the other day, the 17-18 Browns or this Broncos team. I think the 17-18 Browns that went 0-16 smoked this fucking team. It's pathetic. Like, they just don't, it looks like they don't care. They're just, the offense has been trying, and Russ isn't without like blame, but he's been playing well, and the offense looks, they look all right, but that defense, they look anemic. It's just I don't know how to explain it. I've never seen anything like it. Like
they've lost something in that defense, man. It's not the same defense from before the Russ trade.
No, but
it's just
that's
statistically
the thing.
not.
Like you had a Giro Evero last year who was a good defensive coordinator last year, but the talent is there. I mean, they should be good at least, or like mediocre, but they're I don't get the regression.
Just let me throw this at you, and before Rob, I'll bring you in. What's always said around the league is teams that spend big in free agency show how desperate they are. For years, it's been the Jaguars that they spent big in free agency, and those players that go for the big contracts, once they get the contracts, maybe the performance level drops a little bit. And they did spend a lot in free agency last year. They spent a bit this year as well. And it could just be the case of bringing in the wrong players, wrong type of players.
Could be. It could be for sure. But yeah, that's historic. I mean, 70 plus points. I think someone said that's only happened 4 times, and the last time it happened was like 50 years ago or something. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, I think, look, I said it earlier in the week. I think Sean Payton's job is safe because of what the Broncos have tied up in him. But his chair should be feeling mighty fucking warm right now. And Vance Joseph should be out of a job. He should be gone. The fact that he's still there is just... I think they're trying to keep it together there, but I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah. Just to flip it over to the Dolphins side of the ball, I think it's disrespectful to them to talk solely about the Denver Broncos in this game. They were
Ponies.
exceptional. Oh, sorry, My Little Ponies. They were exceptional in this game, and I really liked the kind of how the team kind of dealt with the situation. You know, you can pull your starters in the fourth quarter, and that is what they did, to be fair, but they also had the chance to put up that record 73 points. And in an interview afterwards, McDaniel said, that's not what we're about. We're not about disrespecting or humiliating opposition teams. It's also not what chasing records is not what this is about. The Super Bowl is what they want at the end. So putting up a historic victory during the season doesn't mean shit unless you get to that final stage. So I really like the mentality that they have going forward.
Rob, what are your thoughts on Sunday's game?
It's just
team in
like
general.
two completely different ball clubs. I mean, the Broncos had a lot of, they thought, man, this like the division is wide open for a wild card spot. The only team you sort of have to go against is the Chargers. But if you look on player by player base, you wouldn't really think the Chargers are that much different than the Ponies. And then it's just like it's just two different. And there's something going on in that organization that just is not clicking. Either it's Russell and Sean Payton, or it's just Sean Payton and the players. It's just a team doesn't lose by what 22-70 for just it's just another game. And the thing is, when the Dolphins pulled their starters and put in the backups, they still scored. Like Denver didn't pull their starters. That's the biggest thing. It was like when the team puts in their backups, the game is finished and you still can't stop it. Like Chosen Anderson, like came up from the practice squad, I think 3 days before the game, and he had a 70-yard touchdown on him. And
it's
that's
Robbie Chosen
against
now, It's Robbie Chosen now. He's changed it again.
Well, whatever his name is, he changes it every week.
This week it's Robbie Chosen, yeah. Next week it could be back to Anderson.
And it's like, but that was against Patrick Surtain, and that's their best corner. If your best corner is getting like smoked by a practice squad player, something's not right.
Yeah, I think that just lends to the fact as well that the team just gave up, and just didn't care that he got burned.
It certainly looked like it. Does anyone want to take a guess onto how many total yards of offense the Miami Dolphins had?
I saw this. It was like 760.
726 total yards.
And that was split evenly as well.
Devin Achane had 200 yards rushing. Raheem Mostert had 142 all-purpose yards. Tyreek Hill had 157 receiving yards. And then, a couple of 60s and 68s and 66. Like, just that. What this was a very good NFL team playing a Division III college team.
Yeah. Although there was some chats, obviously around sort of the AFI sort of side of things, and people were trying to make the argument that even an AFI side could have done something against the Broncos on Sunday. But then one of the lads who plays for the Rebels put up photos of like when they played like a Division III high school team, and they lost like 102 to 0. Yeah. That's why we had to ask the question: was it pre-Ty Henry or was Ty Henry?
Yeah, that was pre.
Pre-Ty Henry. Rebels are two completely different things, man.
For sure. Well, let's move on then. It's actually going to be interesting because another team we're going to talk about in a little later on, the Chicago Bears, are going to be facing the My Little Ponies this week. So, I wouldn't like to be watching that game now. Oh, Toilet Bowl is right. Toilet Bowl. And we'll get into the Bears, Justin Fields and Matt Eberflus in a little bit, but I want to actually talk about the New York Jets because it's a bit of deja vu to last year. They went down 15 points to 10 against the New England Patriots. They've lost the Patriots again. I think, what did they say? It was like 17 games in a row or something like that. The Patriots have won against the Jets or something like that now. But Zach Wilson struggled again. They obviously, and I spoke about this preseason, Spoke about it in the chat as well that I didn't buy into the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I didn't like the way that it was being run, especially with Hard Knocks, the few episodes that I did watch because I couldn't continue it, where they were salivating over Rodgers so much. He would make one throw and you just cut to like, oh my God, did you see him make that throw? He just made a 2-yard throw. It looks so good. Then obviously the injury happens and now they have to go back to Zach. No sort of contingency there. And on our socials at UnderCenterPod on Instagram and on Twitter, we put up our coaches hot seat rankings and we have Robert Saleh at number 2 at the moment. Then a few people are saying that he shouldn't be on the list. But what I want to ask you guys, and I'll start with Rob, you first on this one. Why should if you agree he should be on the list, why should he stay on the list? Or if he shouldn't be on the list, why do you think he shouldn't be on the list? Sorry, that's a mouthful there that I've just given to you.
He's losing the Jets locker room at the moment. The defensive side of the ball are not happy with Zach Wilson. They're not happy with the offensive coaches. And I think that's a bigger threat to Saleh than say the higher management, because if he gets fired, which he won't, he probably won't. Let's be realistic here. But if the defense completely turns on him and they start racking up losses with Zach Wilson at the helm, I just don't think the players can see Saleh the same way they did with Aaron Rodgers. And there's like different tiers to it that maybe you don't agree with what he, what he coaches or per se. But once you lose that defensive locker rooms and you have defensive captains like Williams shouting at him, it's not a good look. And even one of the running backs was shouting at his position coach. And normally you try to keep that sort of inside the organization. You don't let it out. But to happen on like game day, and it was somewhat of a competitive match at the start, and it's just like they're losing it. They're really losing that team aspect of the game, and that's a big threat from.
Yeah, Rian, Joe Namath was interviewed on a show at the start of the week, and he was asked about Zach Wilson. He says that he's seen enough of Zach Wilson and the Jets should move on from him. Robert Saleh sort of even said last season that Zach Wilson wasn't ready. He said all offseason that Zach Wilson is still not ready. He's going to learn behind Aaron Rodgers. And I know it's needs must at the moment in terms of Rodgers isn't there, so Wilson has to play. But you saw enough last season that you needed to bench him for Mike White. You brought in Aaron Rodgers. He's injured. You're suddenly saying that he is good enough to start for the Jets. They've just signed Trevor Siemian to the practice squad. Of all the players out there, they've signed Trevor Siemian. If you're in Robert Saleh's position or GM Joe Douglas' position, what are you doing? Are you still going to persevere with Zach Wilson with the possibility of you losing your job because of it?
I got to be honest with you. At this point in the season, I think if I am the head coach, GM, whatever, I'm rolling with Zach Wilson. And it's not because I think he gives you an opportunity to win. I think he's just he's the least of all of the evils out there, right? So you could bring in a guy like Carson Wentz, but he is perennially injured. He's going to have to learn the offense. He's not the guy, someone like Nick Foles. Nick Foles is an old man. He's been sitting on the couch this last year. I don't know if he's going to win games. And then you have these big names like Cam Newton. And people actually started talking about RG3 for some reason, who's been in a booth for the last 3 or 4 years. Mental stuff. Those sort of big characters being brought in are going to be detrimental to the Jets as a whole. It's going to take the focus off the football and onto the quarterback situation once again. I think just roll with Wilson, take your losses, and at least Saleh has that excuse to go, well, my talismanic quarterback went down after 4 snaps in this season. And that's his excuse to keep his job. Now, for me personally, I think they probably should have cut Zach Wilson in the offseason and picked up a veteran quarterback to back up Aaron Rodgers. I think that was the best move forward, but hindsight is 2020. I presume they didn't expect to lose Aaron Rodgers at this point in the season. They maybe could have expected from his previous records that he may miss a game here or there due to a knock or an injury, but they thought that Wilson would be the guy to get them over that little hump. 17 games is a totally different story. So, yeah, what I'm trying to say is roll with Zach Wilson, take your losses, get a nice high draft pick, and replace him in the offseason.
Now, Rian saying there that roll with Zach Wilson and take the losses. I guess my response to that would be, that's easier said than done. It's very easy to say, oh, we'll just roll the losses. But you're in a market in New York that, is very cutthroat. You're with the fan base, especially with the Jets that have had years and years of hurt. I don't think that they want to allow another just losing season, just being like, well, this is the reason why we're going to lose this year. We're not going to do anything about it. We're going to go with the same guy last year that we couldn't get wins out of, or we couldn't get anything out of. If it was myself personally, I would look at these. I know you're saying Carson Wentz perennially injured. If it's a Carson Wentz, hell, if it's a Matt Ryan, if it's one of the backups around the league now, throw a second or third day draft pick to him down the road, see if they can get him on board. Because trying something looks a lot more productive and looks like you are trying for the fan base and for the ownership, so that you have a better chance of making something out of this season and not just, writing it off after 3 weeks.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But, you're looking like you're doing something with what? I mean, I'd argue that none of the quarterbacks available are even better than Zach Wilson, even have a chance to be better than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is bad. And I think the available quarterbacks are worse. I don't think that gets you anywhere. If anything, I think, if they're going to make a push for a quarterback, try and, get one of the UDFAs, for absolutely nothing, or, trade for, a pick this year. Some people are really high on DTR that went to the Browns, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Maybe make a play for him, because he's not playing in, no matter what happens, he's not playing in Cleveland because they have so much tied up in Watson. Maybe make a play for him. But the free agents, no, that's just, you're gonna bring in a quarterback for the same outcome or even worse. And even take all that away, the pass protection in New York right now with the Jets, well, both teams, but with the Jets, is putrid, properly putrid, almost instant pressure every snap. It doesn't matter what quarterback you put in there. Short of Mahomes, it's not going to make a difference. So yeah, sure, you could do that to make it look like you're doing something, but it's going to have the same outcome or worse.
Yeah, at the risk of blathering on and overtaking this podcast, I kind of get what Al is saying. It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? You can go, okay, we're going to make a play for a quarterback and we're going to make something of this season. If it doesn't work out, it looks even worse. So you still have this light at the end of the tunnel. It's we get our God, Aaron Rodgers, back for next season. At least there's that little bit of hope. It's not this no hope situation where you need to throw out the Hail Mary. If you do throw out that Hail Mary and it ends up getting intercepted, it looks even worse on your team. So I think, the only route forward is do nothing.
Rob, what are you thinking?
Just like what Al said, their offensive line is just being catastrophically bad. I mean, I think they're putting in a rookie now because Dwayne Brown, their left tackle, is on IR. I think They have a right guard playing right tackle. They have a left guard playing right. Sorry, they have a left guard playing right guard, and like is a disaster waiting to happen. When you have to switch players around like that. I know. Their guard that went to tackle Tucker, like he's very versatile and all, but the jump from guard to tackle is huge. It's not like switching guard to center or something like that. It's two completely different ball games. Where he was lining up as a left guard, now he's lining up as his rookie year to switch to right guard this year, and then switching from right guard to right tackle. That's two position changes within a year. Um, it doesn't get the best out of the player, which was a first round pick. Um, and you would be thinking that there would be somebody, quote unquote, on the street, which could do the job of a right tackle, maybe even an undrafted guy that maybe have slipped, uh, you know, in the draft or past drafts. But if your quarterback is having problems with interceptions or just throws in general, you want to try and protect them the best you can, and the Jets aren't doing that.
Okay, all right. There's no temptation to try and give Tom Brady a call, is there?
I think Tom,
Although
if Tom Brady was
probably
if he
still
had
be
one
better.
foot in the door, yeah,
I'm not sure he's allowed to come back now that he has
yeah. I think
ownership
if he had
in
one
the,
foot in the
Oh,
door,
he has ownership in the Raiders,
right,
doesn't
yeah.
he? I just,
Yeah.
it's
Conflict of
minority
interest
though.
there.
It's not majority,
Yeah.
so I don't know if
I
that's.
still think it's a
that's-
conflict of interest. I don't think he'd be allowed. I think he'd have to give up those shares to come back, and I don't think he wants to do that. The Raiders are very profitable out there in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
if
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers got injured in like the start of camp, I think Tom Brady could be in the Jets uniform by now. I think if the Jets rung him up and said, "Hey, we have such and such guaranteed for you, just play this year, and maybe we'll have Aaron back for playoffs if we make it," I think Tom Brady couldn't say no to that.
Yeah. I think it would have been interesting because for you know a quality veteran quarterback, the weapons available there are very, very tempting. Not just Garrett Wilson, but obviously the other players that they have there, including Lazard and Cobb and who's our tight end? Was it
Usama.
Usama and Conklin as well. And then you have like Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall in the running back position.
Well, you don't really have Dalvin Cook. You have,
a version of
Shadow.
Dalvin Cook.
Shadow
Yes, you
of
have you have a version of Dalvin Cook.
You have
the
someone
name,
called
but you don't
Dalvin
have the
Cook,
person.
but
Yeah. Well, let's move on then. Let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Because this seems like a very negative show, but don't worry, we're gonna get positive soon about it. The Chicago Bears had their own like humiliating, I guess you could say, but very, very poor start to the season, losing 41-10 against the Chiefs. The 10 only came around in sort of garbage time. It was 41-0 for so long as well. The Chiefs really took the foot off the gas after they hit that 41. Justin Fields again struggled, less than 100 yards on the day throwing. Did a bit of damage with his legs. He's had a really, really difficult start to the year again. In a season, like I mentioned when we talked about the Denver Broncos, an off season where they spent a lot of money, which kind of shows a desperation of teams, like I mentioned, is not working out. Their big linebacker free agency. Yeah, he went out of the game as well at one point too. I don't know if that's going to be serious. But Matt Eberflus, the head coach into his second year, is feeling the heat. And his seat is definitely hot at the moment, probably as well with GM Ryan Poles too. Reen, I'll start with you first on this one. The Bears fast becoming just one of those perennial, I guess, kind of like the Jets, where it just doesn't matter what they do in an offseason, doesn't matter who they draft, who they sign. They just tend to find ways to mess it up for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's been insanity from start to finish in these last few years for the Bears. They just haven't done anything right. It seems the players they are bringing in are not gelling. They don't fit the position groups very well. I think the time has run out for Justin Fields. I mean, he demonstrates that he has exceptional ability, but he is totally unable to read NFL defenses. I was doing a deep dive into this in his first 3 games of the season. He has not just not thrown the ball to wide open targets that should be his first or second read. He's holding on to the ball too long. Somehow he is an exceptional rusher of the football, but still is getting sacked often. He's not getting out of there quick enough. So yeah, their offensive line is in tatters. Their wide receiver core are not living up to the billing. I mean, if you tell anybody, oh, we have DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney in the building, is this going to be a passing offense? You bet your ass it is, but no, that's just not what they've done so far.
Kmet, he's no slouch either at the tight end position. Every single year he improves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they brought in Chase Claypool. He's turned out to be dog shit, but
it's trash. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, the only positive that comes out of this Chicago Bears season is they're going to get 2 very high draft picks where they can draft probably Drake May, who seems to be a very good passer to football. Now, he still has some turnover issues, but he's going to be able to drive the ball down the field. I think that's what the Chicago Bears need, and then they can stock up on that offensive line with that pick that they're going to get off the Panthers, which should probably be in the top 8, I would reckon, based on the way the Panthers are playing.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about the Bears that you didn't say there. Just disappointing, really. Just kind of undisciplined football. No one's really putting in the effort. The players are there was a video of one of the players complaining on the field in the Bucs game. I mean, at this point, blow it up. Justin Fields isn't the guy. He's regressed this year. I mean, you've brought in guys in the offensive line, and if they're not injured, they're not playing well. Coaching no coaches will be better. It's just, and that goes back to the discipline. I mean, if the players have no discipline, that's on the coaching, and the coaches aren't good enough. They all need to be fired. And at this point, after this many years of just complete incompetence from top to bottom, you have to start questioning ownership as well. I mean, should they, I don't know about sell the team, but maybe bring in someone that knows more than they do or is better. I don't know. I mean, it's every year it's like, oh my God, the Bears, they might finally be good. And then they just, lay an egg every single game. And it's super disappointing.
Yeah.
I
was just going to say, Rob, just in a microcosm of how the season started with them already, their defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, had to leave for, quote, inappropriate activity. They had over $100,000 worth of gardening equipment stolen from the stadium as well. Like the team just seems to be an absolute total mess from top to bottom. And yeah, I guess Rob, I'll bring it back to you there. I don't know what they can do to sort of make this any better.
No, I saw their schedule there. Looks tough. I can't see him winning another game this year. You could have maybe before the season, you could have said maybe the Cardinals, they could get a win off them, but with their win against the Cowboys, I can't see them getting another win this year from all the competition. It's just, you can't, when your quarterback plays the whole four quarters and he has 99 passing yards against the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs don't have a great defense. It's definitely a defense you can exploit, but if you have 99 yards passing in an NFL game as an NFL quarterback, there's a problem. And I think he has 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions through the first 3 weeks. which isn't good. But I think there's one play that sums him up. I think, I don't know what, it was third down or something, and he went back for a pass, and he's holding onto the ball for 5, 6 seconds, and then he decides to take off and he gets a first down. And that is like, it just shows the athlete that he is, that he does have a football mind, but is it in a quarterback position? I don't know. Is it too late for a position change? Probably. But if I was the Bears and we're going into week 15 or 16 and we're 0 15, 0 16, I'd really talk to them and say, hey, we can trade you next off season and go to a new place. But if you wanted to change positions and maybe try out more a running back role or a receiver role, like I think he could be actually somewhat decent in that almost because he just evades the tackle so well. And you saw last year, I think he had the most rushing yards in one game by a quarterback. Um, but I can't if he wants to stay a quarterback, I can't see him being the Bears starter next year.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting idea to get him to position change. When it gets to the top level like that, I feel like maybe they won't do it just because of the ego. Exactly. I think the ego won't allow them to do it.
Lamar was gonna in the draft. He was going to teams asked him to switch to receiver. Now Lamar and Justin Fields are they're similar quarterbacks in the way they play, but Justin has a bit more weight on him. But it's just his first year with the Bears. There was promise. You could see that he's getting good throws in. He's gonna have a good deep ball. He can run, but it just looks like it's gone down every single year, and there's nothing you can really do to justify that.
Mm-hmm. No, and you're right. Look, maybe he is a victim of the poor organization within Chicago. Whereas, like you're saying, there was promise in his first season. He should be able to progress and take that leap forward and start being accustomed to more getting accustomed to NFL defenses, but he hasn't been, and that could be down to coaching, could be the way things are ran over there in Chicago. On the Kansas City side, obviously the shock of the opening day defeat to the Detroit Lions to get back on track with 2 wins in a row. Then they are on the Sunday Night Football actually this week against the Jets. So that should be 3-1 we're expecting. But I guess I have to ask, guys, are we all Swifties now?
Wouldn't call
that was going in a different direction.
I saw
never see it coming.
I seen a stat
Taylor
Travis Kelce's jerseys now have gone up 400% since their relationship.
Yeah.
But I think I remember seeing stuff on Twitter. Now, Twitter is great for people just making shit up per se, and there's give them 3 weeks, and the Swifties will find out a way to better grade a play better than PFF. It's just they're pulling out stuff from everywhere. I mean, all corners of the internet. And then even from Instagram and TikTok, and they have no idea who Travis Kelce is or the Chiefs or the NFL, but Taylor Swift is dating one of their players, so instantly it becomes their favorite team.
Yeah, I love this new trend of ladies telling their boyfriends or partners that Travis Kelce has now been put on the map by Taylor Swift. It's very funny. And I saw as well there was someone put up a picture of the Eagles offense from behind, and they were like, "Oh, they made a prediction on Monday Night Football, and it's just Kelce, Hurts, Swift."
Yeah. Oh, they do that. They do that.
Yeah. The Eagles did have good fun with it on Monday night, just putting tons of videos out of DeAndre Swift and Jason Kelce together, talking with the two duo that we actually
it's a fun coincidence.
It came over. It is actually. It's quite good, but yeah. Look, we have a bit of time left. We will chat a little bit about so many things to chat about. Trying to narrow it down is actually the toughest part of this. We were going to mention about Vegas. We'll talk briefly about Vegas, not about the team. But more about the predicament that they're in terms of Davante Adams, because he gave an interview after the game on Sunday night. He sounds completely fed up with what's going on in Vegas. And I guess he's kind of the first name of this new season now to come up as a trade candidate before the deadline. So I kind of want to go around the table quite quickly here and see where do you think, if indeed Davante Adams would get traded, where do you think a potential landing spot could be for him? I'll go to you first.
Well, I didn't actually see him come out and make any statements, but I'm not surprised really.
It's not definitive, like saying he wants to leave, but he's talking about like he's getting fed up with the bullshit here, and they need to sort their shit out, and all that lovely stuff.
It does seem like a bit of a mess over there at the moment. I'm not sure really who would do with a receiver. I mean, if they are going to trade him, they should trade him, ASAP. While teams might still, want them, because, we saw it with Hopkins. He was one of the best for a long time, and he's done absolutely nothing the past few years. I mean, he's Hopkins, so he's going to make some, good catches here and there. But, I think before that does happen, if it's going to happen, if he does start going downhill, the Raiders aren't going to do anything over the next couple of years. They should trade him as soon as possible. And especially if he's not happy there. If he's not happy there, he's not going to put in the effort. He's not going to help your team. No point in having someone there that doesn't want to be there. So, as far as teams that might take him, Jets, Washington.
And would he go to those teams?
No, he'd want to go to a contender.
I think he signed. I think in his contract, he has a no trade clause, so I think he gets to have final say.
As long as he doesn't come to just fucking 49ers or something like that. Jesus.
That was the team I was going to say. That was the team I was going to say.
Look at Davante Adams.
That's going to be rough.
Because that is the exact bullshit that an NFC West team would do. Yeah. Because the Rams did it when they were trading for Von Miller and they were trading for Jalen Ramsey and stuff, like sending all their first round picks because they wanted to get that Super Bowl. This is the type of shit that the 49ers will do to try and get them the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, and I think as much as it pains me to say it, I regret to inform you that Brock Purdy might be good at football. Good is as far as I'll go. But, that's all the 49ers need. They're fucking stacked. They should be perennial contenders, but just because Shanahan just can't develop or scout quarterbacks for some reason, that's what's held them back. But I mean, this year, I think they could be the NFC team. I don't think there's a team there that can contend with them. And if Davante Adams goes to the 49ers, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I think you'd have to take a negative dollar contract to move out there. I don't think they have much cap left over with all of the trades that they've been making.
We all know the cap's a lie. The cap doesn't exist.
The cap does not exist. It does not
well,
exist.
No, it does very much exist, but teams like the Saints keep restructuring and, kicking the can down the road and then being, 50 or 60 million over the cap, which, I mean, that the 49ers are already 37 million over the cap next year. So, I mean, they have to win this year.
Rob, what are you thinking about Davante Adams? Where do you think he could go?
I'm thinking of 3 teams now. This would require a lot of moving around, but I think Davante Adams is in a point of his career where he doesn't want to go to a team there that's rebuilding or around 500 mark. Now, obviously, it'd have a lot of cap problems, but like I could see him going to potentially the Broncos because I don't think the Broncos are happy with the developments of Jerry Jeudy. I don't think when he come out of Alabama, he almost thought deep threat and a great route runner, and he hasn't shown that. But more importantly, I think the Chiefs could be a big player in this. Now, it's very, very, very unlikely that they trade him in the division. But could you imagine an offense with Davante Adams and Travis Kelce in it? But that realistically will never happen. Raiders will rather eat his
Nah.
contract and put him in the practice squad and just leave him the raw. But I could really see the Broncos or maybe even the Lions because they sort of want that second. They have who was that receiver that they drafted?
Ross St. Brown.
He's
Oh no.
suspended for the first 6 games or something this year.
Jamison Williams.
Oh, Williams.
Williams. I think they're almost fed up with him at this stage now after missing the first year. But I think he wants to go to a system that's stable. I think Jared Goff gives him that stable, offense that they like running the ball. Their offensive line is good. Jared Goff is playing like a top 7, top 6 quarterback in the league this past season and this start of this season. So realistically, I could see him going to the Lions or the Broncos, but that's about it.
Okay. I'll give 2 names myself, and I'll throw these at you. The first one is not going to happen, but I think would be a good fit. The next one would be, I think, it would be surprise, and I think they're a team that would do something like this. The first one that unrealistic is going to say the Chargers. They lost Mike Williams this week. They want to push for it. Even though I don't believe that they are a Super Bowl team, they think they are a Super Bowl team. I think with Brandon Staley and his weird play calling and stuff when it comes to like 4th down is going to cost them. But again, similar to the Broncos, Rob, they won't trade in division. Not a chance. It's going to be even tougher to trade within the AFC. The team that I think could do it is the Cowboys.
You took my pick. That was who I was going to say.
The Cowboys, I think, is a team that would do something like this. Because they think that they're in the Super Bowl window as well. And up until the game last Sunday, with that defense, with Dan Quinn marshalling them, I thought they were in the Super Bowl window as well, because I thought they'd been very impressive in the first 2 games, but they kind of went back to normal Cowboys mode there on Sunday. But those are my 2 teams.
It's just Micah Parsons and the Cowboys defense.
Yeah.
They have good players, but yeah.
Michael Parsons is that key piece that makes him a top 5 defense and then a mediocre defense. Like, you can line him up on the end. You can have him as an off-the-ball linebacker. He's that it piece in their defense. Maybe back a few years ago, they had the likes of Jalen Smith, and he was that for them. Jalen Smith was a real good player, and then his knees blew up on him, and then he got old. And now he's an Ashdod. He was with the Giants, I think, for a while, but that's about it. But
he got cut.
Like you say, Dara. Like you said, Dara. I think if the Cowboys pull that off, you'd have a real hard time not picking them to at least get to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring because I've just thought of someone, because I was trying to think it's not going to be in division, so none of those teams that you guys mentioned in the division are going to get them. It's not even going to be in conference, because I don't think the Raiders want to leave Davante Adams to run all over that, let's be honest, poor defense year in, year out. So it's going to be somebody in the NFC, and who's in a position to challenge, who doesn't have a serious set of wide receivers, and who does he have history with? I think the Green Bay Packers might be a decent shout for Davante Adams to be traded to, if he's going to be traded at all. I mean, their current wide receiver core, I don't think any of them are the legal age to drink. So, he's going to instantly fit in and instantly be the number 1 target. And Jordan Love looks like he is legit. So giving him a target like that will be absolutely huge for the Green Bay Packers.
A return to Green Bay is not a bad show. It isn't.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that one.
That was
Oh.
my phone.
Shut up, Alexa.
Siri getting involved.
So she doesn't even know the answer to where Davante Adams is going to end up, which is just like the rest of us. So that's absolutely fine. Lads, I'm going to wrap up then this edition of the show. I think we covered a lot. Thank you all to my brand new Swifties here, Al, Rob, and Rian. Really appreciate you guys for coming on.
Been a blast.
Good as usual.
Make sure as well you are following us on our social media channels. Of course, that is Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at UnderCenterPod. The exact same on Instagram at UnderCenterPod. Also, have to mention that this show and every show this season is brought to you by the Backpage Pub in Phibsborough. That is the place to watch the NFL this season. Upstairs every Sunday from 6 p.m. They have Red Zone on. They're going to have games on as well with some class drinks, some good food, and we'll get some quizzes going as well too. But lads, until next time, stay safe and we'll see you soon.